Hey, a cab? For you? Get real and walk. Those were the words her husband spat at her before turning his back on his heavily pregnant wife. That was the moment. With a screech of tires, a fleet of black limousines blocked the entrance to the courthouse, and a team of well-built men in dark suits poured out, surrounding the wife. The chairman is waiting for you, ma'am. In an instant, the husband's legs trembled. It didn't take him long to realize that the woman he had just cast aside like a piece of trash was, in fact, the very person who held his life in her hands. A series of stunning reversals you won't be able to look away from is about to be revealed. The heavy iron doors of the New York County Family Court slammed shut with a deafening thud. Michael Peterson shook the manila envelope in his hand, a smug smirk twisting his lips. He looked like a man relieved of a 10-year burden, his expression one of pure, unadulterated freedom. God, I can finally breathe, he thought. Has the air always been this sweet? Michael glanced at Isabella Rossi, standing beside him, his eyes filled with the kind of contempt one reserves for an insect. Isabella bit down hard on her chapped, cracked lips. The weight of her full-term pregnancy felt like 1,000 pounds, making it difficult to even stand up straight. As she clutched the frayed edges of her worn-out coat, her hands were gaunt, the skin dry and broken. What are you staring at? You still have feelings for me? Michael scoffed, shoving his hands into his pockets. Isabella's voice trembled as she finally managed to speak. Are you sure you won't regret this? This child is your blood. I'm sick of it, so sick of it. That whole song and dance about bloodlines. I told you in court, didn't I? It's not mine. Michael jabbed a finger toward Isabella's swollen belly, his face contorting in a grimace. Isabella instinctively recoiled, her arms wrapping protectively around her stomach. Don't even dream about alimony or child support. You came into this marriage with nothing but the clothes on your back, so where do you get off asking for money? I don't need your money. And the baby doesn't need a father like you. Good. Smartest thing you've said all day. Now you can live your life with that tumor you're so proud of. She's got some pride, for someone in her position, Michael muttered. He spat on the ground and pulled a set of car keys from his pocket. He then made a call, speaking loudly and performatively, not caring if Isabella heard. As a woman's sweet voice cooed from the other end of the line, Michael's tone instantly softened. Hey, Amber, it's me. It's finally over. I signed the papers. It's our world now. Yeah. I'm on my way. You made reservations at that nice place, right? Michael tucked the phone between his shoulder and ear, humming a cheerful tune as he descended the courthouse steps. Isabella watched him go, finally letting out the breath she had been holding. Her legs felt weak, and she wanted to collapse right there, but she gritted her teeth and held on. The cold wind cut through her thin coat. It was then that a deep, rumbling engine sound echoed from the courthouse entrance. Before Isabella could even lift her head, 5 top-of-the-line black limousines, their hazard lights flashing, pulled up in a neat line. People in the vicinity began to murmur, clearing a path. What is that? Are those all foreign luxury cars? Someone important must be here. This is incredible. The procession of limousines came to a precise halt directly in front of Isabella. The door of the lead car opened, and a group of powerfully built men in black suits emerged. They moved with disciplined precision, forming 2 lines on either side of Isabella, creating a protective cordon around her. The scene looked like something out of a movie, and even passers-by stopped to watch. Michael, still on his phone, froze in his tracks. His jaw hung open as he stared blankly at the spectacle. What the hell is all this? The rear door of the second vehicle opened, and a man with a distinguished air and salt and pepper hair stepped out. It was Mr. Thompson, the chief of staff for the Sterling Corporation. As soon as Mr. Thompson spotted Isabella, he strode toward her. He stopped directly in front of her and bowed deeply, his back forming a perfect right angle. Miss Rossi, my apologies for the delay. Mr. Thompson's powerful voice boomed across the courthouse plaza. The 10 security guards standing in formation behind him bowed in unison, their voices echoing his. Good afternoon, Miss Rossi. Isabella looked at Mr. Thompson with a calm, stoic expression. You're here. Yes, ma'am. The chairman has been anxiously awaiting your return at the residence. Mr. Thompson then carefully removed Isabella's worn coat and draped a luxurious, brand-new cashmere shawl over her shoulders. The warm, soft fabric enveloped her entire body. And I trust the young heir is also well? The weather is turning. Please, get in the car. Mr. Thompson respectfully opened the rear door of the limousine. The spacious interior was visible, with gleaming leather seats. Isabella clutched the shawl and nodded. Watching this unfold, Michael's eyes widened as if he were witnessing an earthquake. On the other end of the phone, Amber's voice kept calling his name, but he couldn't hear a thing. Michael stammered to himself, his lips barely moving. Miss Rossi? The chairman? What in God's name is going on? Michael couldn't believe his ears. The woman who just moments ago couldn't even meet his gaze was being addressed like royalty. It was impossible. A sudden thought flashed through his mind. Ah, so that's it. Crying about having no money, and she already found herself a sugar daddy. Michael's face instantly twisted into a mask of contempt. He was convinced that Isabella had become the mistress of some wealthy old man. There was no other explanation for why these expensive cars would be here for an orphan like her. Unbelievable. Hey, Isabella Rossi, Michael shouted, starting to charge toward her. But Isabella didn't even spare him a glance. Instead, with Mr. Thompson's assistance, she defiantly stepped into the limousine and settled into the main seat. Hey, didn't you hear me? You're just going to get into that car like that? You've really hit rock bottom. Michael screamed, pointing an accusatory finger. Just then, two of the black-suited bodyguards stepped in front of Michael, forming an impenetrable wall. Their menacing glares made Michael flinch and take a step back. Who do you think you are? What right do you have to interfere in my business? Feeling wronged and furious, Michael pulled his phone out of his pocket. He aimed it at the limousine and began snapping pictures of Isabella inside. Great. This is perfect. I need evidence. I'm going to show the whole world what a degenerate you've become. You filthy whore. Michael smirked as he reviewed the photos he had taken. The window of the limousine Isabella was in glided silently up. Through the dark-tinted glass, her cold profile was visible for one last moment. A second later, the 5 limousines sped away, kicking up a spray of dirty water as they left the courthouse parking lot. Michael watched the departing cars and spat on the ground once more. What a spectacle. Probably on her way to please some rich old fossil. Yeah, good luck with that. Have a nice life. Michael put the phone back to his ear and sent the pictures he had just taken to Amber. Amber, you won't believe what I just saw. I sent you some photos, check them out. That woman, Isabella Rossi, looks like she's shacked up with some old rich chairman. It's absolutely pathetic. Michael chuckled as he climbed into his old, beat-up sedan. In the now empty spot where the limousine had been, a single, worn-out sneaker that Isabella had shed lay abandoned. The story goes back 3 years. Inside the solemn atmosphere of the Sterling Corporation's chairman's office, Chairman Vincent Rossi clicked his tongue in disapproval. Isabella had placed her resignation letter on her father's desk, her expression resolute. Father, from now on, I just want to live as Isabella Rossi. I'm so tired of people who are only interested in my background, of the leeches who flock to the smell of money. Fine. Who could ever change your mind? But remember this. The world out there is much colder and harsher than you can possibly imagine. Leaving her father's warning behind, Isabella walked out of the office. She cleared her closet of all the designer bags and jewelry, replacing them with inexpensive clothes from a thrift store. Shedding the identity of a tycoon's youngest daughter, Isabella got a job as an office manager at a small manufacturing company run by Michael Peterson. At the time, Michael appeared to be a sincere and down-to-earth man. When Isabella worked late, he would offer her a can of coffee with a shy smile. His seemingly gentle nature won her over. She believed he was a man who, despite having little, was full of genuine humanity. With that belief alone, Isabella ignored her family's objections and pushed forward with her marriage to Michael. But the tragedy was foreshadowed from their wedding day. Instead of a lavish hotel ceremony, they were at a drab city hall office. Michael's mother, Brenda, frowned openly as she looked at the empty seats on the bride's side. My luck is just the worst. Bringing an orphan with no family history into our lives. Other people's in-laws buy them buildings or cars, but what did I do in a past life to deserve a penniless daughter-in-law? Brenda complained loudly, not caring if the few guests present heard her. Isabella clutched the fabric of her simple wedding dress and lowered her head. Michael, far from stopping his mother, simply stared off into the distance, looking uncomfortable. Their married life was a continuous hell. Whenever Michael's business struggled even slightly, all the blame was directed at Isabella. Even the day she found out she was pregnant brought no celebration. She was suffering from severe morning sickness, and the smell of food alone made her nauseous. One evening, Brenda slammed a plate of food down in front of her. Eat. When Isabella looked at the plate, a sour, foul smell hit her nostrils. In the corner of the plate was a piece of bread with a patch of bluish mold. And the canned soup was watery and discolored. The only other thing was a few sad-looking crackers. Brenda, I think this food has gone bad. The smell. Gone bad? What's wrong with it? It's perfectly fine. Are you criticizing the meal your mother-in-law prepared for you? Back in my day, we were grateful for anything we could get. Stop acting like you were raised in some palace. No, that's not it. It's just, with the baby. Don't use the baby as an excuse. So unlucky. Ever since you came into this house, my Michael's business has been going downhill. You're a jinx, a curse. Brenda shrieked, pointing her finger at Isabella. When Isabella couldn't hold it in any longer and ran to the bathroom to retch, Brenda stormed into the kitchen. She returned with a dish rag and, as Isabella came out of the bathroom, she threw it at her back with all her might. Get out of my sight. You bring nothing but bad luck. Isabella swallowed her tears and clutched her belly. That evening, she wanted to confide in Michael when he got home, but his condition was even worse. The front door swung open, and the stench of alcohol filled the small apartment. Michael immediately ripped off his tie and threw it on the floor. Red foreclosure notices were stuck all over the living room from a visit by the bank a few days prior. Damn it. Nothing ever goes right. Michael yelled, kicking the sofa. Isabella cautiously approached him with a glass of water. Honey. You had a rough day. Have some water. Get it away from me. I can't even stand the sight of you. Michael violently slapped her hand away. The glass shattered on the floor. He glared at the frightened Isabella and unleashed a torrent of abuse. What have you been doing all day? Your husband is out there working his fingers to the bone, and you're just sitting here in this dump, wasting away. My mother was right about you. My life has been a complete disaster ever since I met you. Michael, that's too harsh. I'm pregnant. Who told you to get pregnant? I can barely take care of myself, so what the hell am I supposed to do with a kid? Michael glanced at Isabella's swollen belly and turned away in disgust. Just then, his phone rang from his jacket pocket. The name on the screen was Amber Davis. Michael shot Isabella a defiant look and answered the call. Hey, Amber, it's me. Yeah, I'm home. Ugh, don't even ask. The moment I walk in here, I feel like I'm suffocating. It's so depressing. Yeah. The investment money, is it for real? Your father is seriously considering it? Wow, thank you so much, Amber. You're the only one who can save me. Michael's face, which had been a mask of fury moments before, transformed into that of a gentle lamb. Hearing the woman's laughter from the other end of the line, Isabella's heart sank. Her voice trembled as she asked, Michael, who is that woman? What investment? After hanging up, Michael approached Isabella with a sly grin. You don't need to know. She's someone on a completely different level from you. Amber's family has agreed to invest in my company. They're incredibly wealthy. So you're having an affair? An affair? Huh. Don't make me laugh. This is business. And let's be honest, wouldn't my life be better off with the daughter of a rich family than with a penniless orphan? Michael pulled a crumpled envelope from his briefcase and tossed it onto the kitchen table. It contained divorce papers. And underneath them was another document, a waiver of parental rights. Isabella's hands trembled uncontrollably. What? What is all this? Can't you read? Sign it. There will be no alimony, and you'll handle the kid on your own. I don't have the ability to pay child support, nor do I have any intention of doing so. Michael Peterson, you are absolute garbage. How could you do this to your own child? My child? Don't be ridiculous. Do you have any proof that it's mine? How do I know where a woman with no background like you has been? What did you say? Sign it. Now. Michael shouted threateningly, kicking the table over. Plates and glasses shattered, sending shards flying everywhere. Hearing the commotion, Brenda rushed out of her room. Oh, my son, what's wrong? Did this bitch provoke you again? Hey, you. Sign the papers right now. Don't stand in the way of my son's future. Get the hell out. Brenda grabbed Isabella by the hair and shook her violently. Isabella screamed as she fell to the floor. Tears of fear and sorrow blurred her vision. Michael, fuming, shoved a red ink pad in front of Isabella's face. Sign it while I'm asking nicely. If you don't, I might just get rid of that lump in your belly myself. Michael's eyes were no longer human, they were the eyes of a crazed animal. To protect the child inside her, Isabella dipped her trembling thumb into the red ink. Then, on the waiver of parental rights, in the space where the word father should have been, she pressed her thumb down hard. There. Are you happy now? Michael snatched the paper away with a satisfied smile. You should have just done it from the start. Now, here's your stuff. I can't stand the sight of it, so get out now. Michael threw Isabella's old suitcase out the front door. Isabella was thrown out barefoot into the cold hallway. A freezing winter draft seeped through the window cracks, chilling her to the bone. "Don't ever show your face here again. You jinx." Slam. The front door was violently shut. From inside, Isabella could hear the laughter of Michael, Brenda, and, through the speakerphone, Amber Davis. "Oh, what a relief. Amber, honey, I've taken care of everything. Let's meet tomorrow and celebrate. Brenda, I'll bring over something delicious tomorrow. Oh, you wonderful girl, our lucky charm. We'll be waiting." Isabella collapsed onto the cold cement floor, clutching her belly and sobbing silently. The motion-activated light in the hallway cast a lonely shadow of her before flickering out. In the darkness, Isabella's eyes began to gleam with a cold, hard resolve. It was exactly 6 months after the divorce. The door to Michael Peterson's office was kicked open with a loud bang. A group of loan sharks in dark suits stormed in. "Mr. Peterson, did you think you could hide from us? Pay up, now." A burly man grabbed Michael by the collar and slammed him onto his desk. Michael screamed, begging for mercy. "Sir, please, just give me one more chance. I have a huge deal coming through at the end of the month. I'll pay you back everything then, the principal and all the interest. This punk is still all talk. Guys, trash the place." At the man's command, his thugs began destroying the office. Computer monitors were smashed on the floor, and stacks of paper were sent flying. Michael crawled under his desk, covering his head and trembling in fear. Just then, a breaking news report on the wall-mounted TV caught his attention. And in other news, a woman in her 30s, identified only as Miss Echu, breaking news report, PANS, Bersetches, Davis, who posed as a wealthy heiress to defraud small business owners of millions in investment funds, has reportedly fled to the Philippines. Michael's head shot up. The woman's face on the screen was pixelated, but he recognized her instantly. It was Amber Davis, his mistress, the woman he believed was his only lifeline. "Amber." Michael crawled out from under the desk and rushed to the TV, shaking the screen. "No, it can't be. Tell me it's not true. My money, the money from selling the factory. If you ran off with all of it, what am I supposed to do?" Michael's desperate cries filled the office. Even the loan sharks shook their heads in disbelief. "Tsk, looks like he got taken by a con artist and sold his factory for nothing. Hey, there's nothing of value here. Let's go." The loan sharks left as quickly as they came, leaving Michael alone in the wreckage. He collapsed to the floor, tearing at his hair. There was only one path left for him now. He had to secure a contract with the Sterling Corporation, the #1 conglomerate in the country. It was the only way to avoid bankruptcy and save his own skin. The next morning, Michael slicked down his unwashed hair and hastily ironed his wrinkled suit. His reflection in the mirror was pathetic, but he forced a smile and tried to psych himself up. "You can do this, Michael Peterson. You've always been a smooth talker. Even the chairman of Sterling Corporation will be eating out of your hand after one presentation." With trembling hands, Michael grabbed his briefcase and headed to the Sterling Corporation headquarters. As he entered the magnificent lobby, he straightened his slumping shoulders and walked to the reception desk. "I'm Michael Peterson. I have a meeting with the head of the strategic planning department today." After the receptionist confirmed his appointment, Michael was directed to a private elevator for the penthouse floor. As the elevator ascended, his heart pounded so hard he thought it would burst. He kept adjusting his tie. Floor 50. With a soft chime, the doors opened. A familiar face was standing in front of the conference room. It was the same man with the salt and pepper hair from the courthouse 6 months ago, Mr. Thompson. But in his nervousness, Michael didn't recognize him and simply bowed obsequiously. Good morning, sir. I'm Michael Peterson. Is the department head inside?" "Mr. Thompson looked down at Michael with cold eyes and answered curtly. "You may go in. They are waiting for you." Mr. Thompson opened the heavy double doors to the conference room. Michael swallowed hard and stepped inside. At the far end of a long table, a large leather executive chair was turned toward the window. Michael bowed 90 degrees toward the back of the chair. "Good morning. I am Michael Peterson, CEO of Peterson Manufacturing. Thank you so much for taking the time to see me. Our company's technology is second to none in the industry. If you just give us one chance, I will dedicate my life to you and the chairman." Michael kept his head bowed, his nose almost touching the floor, and waited. But there was no response from the chair. An unnerving silence filled the room. Just as Michael was about to slowly raise his head, the chair swiveled around with a soft whirring sound. "You may raise your head, Mr. Peterson." The voice was cool, familiar, yet foreign. Michael slowly lifted his head. The sight before him made his breath catch in his throat. A woman in a chic silk blouse and an elegant jacket. A woman with her hands calmly clasped over her very pregnant belly. It was his ex-wife, Isabella Rossi. Michael rubbed his eyes and looked again. It was definitely Isabella. But this was not the frumpy, timid woman he knew. A choked sound escaped his lips. He stumbled backward, dropping his briefcase. It sprang open, and his proposal papers scattered across the floor. "You, what? What are you doing here?" Isabella didn't answer, merely staring at him with icy eyes. The memory of the scene at the courthouse 6 months ago flashed through Michael's mind. The black limousines, the men bowing at a 90-degree angle. Michael's face turned a kaleidoscope of red and white. "Huh. Well, look at you. You've really made it. So that limousine was for real? Did you finally land a rich chairman and become his mistress?" Michael pointed a finger at her, striding toward the desk. His fear was rapidly turning into rage and contempt. "I can't believe this. Hey, Isabella Rossi, are you out of your mind? This is the Sterling Corporation. What are you doing sitting in this sacred meeting room? Just because the chairman pampers you, you think you're somebody?" Michael slammed his fist on the table, shouting at the top of his lungs. "Get out of that chair. You're finished when the real department head gets here. How dare a pregnant woman like you occupy the chairman's office space? If you're here to clean, then just stick to mopping the floors." Isabella didn't even flinch. Instead, a small, derisive smile played on her lips as she casually turned over a document. "Are you finished, Mr. Peterson? What? You bitch. Watch who you're talking to. Watch your tone. This is my office, and I am conducting official business. You're insane. You've completely lost it. You think you can act all high and mighty because you have a rich backer? I'm here to sign a contract today. This is no place for you to be interfering." Isabella sighed and picked up a crystal nameplate from the corner of the desk. She slid it across the smooth tabletop toward Michael. It came to a stop right at his fingertips. Isabella Rossi. Executive Vice President, Strategic Planning. Sterling Corporation. Michael's gaze was fixed on the nameplate. The 3 words, Isabella Rossi, shone in gold lettering. He blinked, looking back and forth between the nameplate and Isabella's face. "What? What is this? Executive Vice President?" Michael burst out laughing. "Haha. Wow, you're really something else. You think people will fall for this if you just have one of these made? What is this, playing house? An orphan as an executive VP? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard." Michael made a show of picking up the nameplate, as if to throw it on the floor. Just then, Isabella pressed a button on the desk intercom. "Mr. Thompson, please show the chairman in." "Yes, ma'am. Right away." The voice from the intercom made Michael freeze. "Ma'am? The chairman?" Michael's mind began to spin. Then, the heavy doors behind him swung open. "Isabella, has the meeting started yet?" A deep, authoritative voice filled the room. Michael stiffened as if he'd been electrocuted and slowly turned around. The man he had only ever seen on financial news channels, Vincent Rossi, the head of the Sterling Corporation, was walking in, flanked by his aides. And Mr. Rossi, without even glancing at Michael, walked straight to Isabella and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Are you feeling all right, my dear? My dear." That single phrase pierced Michael's eardrums. His eyes went wide, the whites showing all around. The nameplate he was holding slipped from his grasp and clattered to the floor. Vincent Rossi squeezed his daughter's shoulder gently. His cold gaze fell upon Michael, who was now crumpled on the floor. Michael's legs had given out from under him. He couldn't even think about standing. He just gaped like a fish out of water. "My dear?" Michael's eyes darted between Vincent Rossi and Isabella. The puzzle pieces in his head were crashing together with a deafening roar. The Sterling Corporation was run by the Rossi family. Isabella's last name was Rossi. The fact he had dismissed as a simple coincidence was now a noose tightening around his neck. Mr. Rossi, then Isabella. "My wife." Vincent Rossi clicked his tongue, cutting Michael off. "The orphan you married is my daughter. My precious, youngest daughter." "What?" Michael's eyes looked like they were about to pop out of his head. He felt as if the sky was falling. He supported himself with a trembling hand on the floor. "No. Lies. It's impossible. It's because of people like you, who judge others only by their appearance, that my daughter felt she had to hide her identity. But you trampled all over that trust." Vincent Rossi's voice thundered through the room. Michael instinctively slammed his head to the floor. A cold sweat poured down his forehead. He was gripped by the terrifying realization that if he didn't fix this, not only his company but his entire life would be over. Father-in-law. I have committed a mortal sin. I didn't know. I swear, I had no idea. Michael crawled on his knees, trying to grab the hem of Mr. Rossi's trousers. But Mr. Thompson, standing nearby, kicked his hand away. Michael turned his body toward Isabella, groveling shamelessly. Isabella, honey, I was wrong. I was blind. I was under the spell of that witch, Amber. I must have been crazy. Isabella looked down at him as if he were a disgusting piece of filth. There was not a shred of pity in her eyes. Mr. Peterson, you came here for business, did you not? You should learn to separate your personal and professional lives. Honey, don't be like this. We're married. You know how much I loved you. Love? Don't you dare say that word. It makes me sick. Even with her cold dismissal, Michael didn't stop. He fixed his gaze on her swollen belly. His only lifeline was right there. Yes, our baby. Our baby is in there. I'm the father, Isabella. For the sake of the child, please, forgive me just this once. I've missed our baby so much. Michael howled like an animal, trying to cling to Isabella's legs. Isabella pulled her foot back with a look of utter disgust. She opened a desk drawer and took out an envelope. Father? Did you just say you were the father? Isabella pulled a single sheet of paper from the envelope and threw it in Michael's face. The paper fluttered down and landed on his lap. Michael, his face a mess of tears and snot, picked it up. The bright red thumbprint in the middle of the page seared his eyes. Waiver of parental rights. It was the very document he had forced her to sign 6 months ago, after kicking over the dinner table. Don't you remember? You said it wasn't your bloodline. You said you didn't want to pay child support. So, you made me sign it. The paper you took yourself. I found it in the suitcase you threw out. Isabella's voice was like a razor blade, slicing through Michael's heart. Honey, I was drunk. I said it in a fit of anger. I didn't mean it. Shut up. You don't deserve to be a father. This child is my child. Legally and biologically, you are nothing but a stranger. Isabella, please. I'll do better. I'll be your slave for the rest of my life. My company will go bankrupt, and I'll go to prison. Please, just save me this one time. Michael begged, banging his head on the floor. His forehead split open and started to bleed, but he couldn't feel the pain. The thought that he had thrown away a winning lottery ticket, being the son-in-law of the Sterling Corporation, was driving him insane. Vincent Rossi, unable to watch any longer, gestured to Mr. Thompson. Get this man out of my sight. Mr. Chairman. Security, to the conference room. As soon as Mr. Thompson spoke into his radio, the doors burst open. 2 large security guards entered and twisted Michael's arms behind his back. Let me go. I'm the son-in-law here. The son-in-law of Sterling Corporation. Father-in-law. Honey. Michael struggled, screaming at the top of his lungs. But he was no match for the guards. Vincent Rossi picked up Michael's company proposal and contract from the desk. You dare to humiliate my daughter, and then you try to swindle a contract from me like a common con man? As of today, your company is finished. With a whirring sound, Mr. Rossi fed the stack of papers into the industrial shredder. Michael's last hope was torn into tiny pieces. Michael screamed as he watched the scene. No. My contract. No. Father-in-law, I was wrong. Please save me. Who is your father-in-law? Get out. With Mr. Rossi's roar, the guards lifted Michael up like a sack of potatoes. One of Michael's shoes fell off and rolled across the floor. Even as he was being dragged out the door, he reached a hand out toward Isabella. Isabella. Don't leave me. I don't want to go to prison. Isabella. Michael's desperate screams faded down the hallway. A moment later, the sound of the elevator doors closing left the conference room in silence. Isabella finally let out a ragged breath. The tension left her body, and her legs felt so weak that she had to grab the desk to keep from falling. Isabella. Mr. Rossi quickly helped her to a sofa. Mr. Thompson rushed over with a glass of cold water. Isabella took it with a trembling hand and took a sip. The cold water soothed her racing heart. Are you all right? That must have been a shock. Mr. Rossi said, gently rubbing her back with a worried look. Isabella stared at the empty doorway and smiled bitterly. The feeling of seeing the true nature of the man she had once loved so deeply was less triumphant and more tragic. I'm okay, Dad. I actually feel relieved. Now I know it's really over. Isabella gently stroked her belly. As if sensing its mother's feelings, the baby gave a little kick. Good. That's right. From now on, you only need to think about yourself and Leo. Forget about that scum. I'll take care of everything. Thank you, Dad. And I'm sorry. Don't say that. The man who made my daughter cry. I will make him cry tears of blood. Vincent Rossi's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He turned to Mr. Thompson and gave a quiet order. Mr. Thompson, get the head of our legal team. I want a full audit of Michael Peterson's company. Financials, tax records, everything. I want you to tear it apart, down to the last speck of dust. Yes, Mr. Chairman. It's already been prepared. Meanwhile, outside the Sterling Corporation headquarters, Michael had been thrown onto the asphalt. He lay sprawled out, unable to move. Passers-by stared and whispered, but he didn't have the strength to get up. A single missing shoe, a torn suit, a bleeding forehead. He looked worse than any homeless person on the street. Michael looked up at the sky and wept. The penthouse window was a distant speck. Just 30 minutes ago, he had been dreaming of a new life up there. Now, all that was left was a fiery pit of hell. That bitch Amber. And that evil witch Isabella. I'll kill them both. Michael gritted his teeth and slammed his fist on the ground. But it was too late for regrets. Just then, his phone buzzed loudly in his pocket. The caller ID said, "Mom." "Hello? Michael, it's a disaster. The bank is here again, putting more foreclosure notices on the door. This time they're saying we have to be out by tomorrow. What do we do?" Hearing his mother's frantic voice, Michael squeezed his eyes shut. It was all over. But he couldn't go down like this. Through his tears, a glint of madness appeared in his eyes. He staggered to his feet. "Mom, pack your bags and come outside. We have somewhere to go." "Where? Don't tell me Amber is going to help us?" "No. Somewhere much more certain. I have to go find my son. My own flesh and blood." Michael wiped his bloody lip and glared up at the Sterling building. His eyes were burning with an unhinged fury. A few days later, a torrential rain poured from the sky as if it had been torn open. It was night. A flash of lightning illuminated the heavy iron gates of the Sterling Corporation penthouse residence. In front of those gates, two figures stood without an umbrella, being drenched by the rain, screaming at the top of their lungs. It was Michael Peterson and Brenda. "Isabella Rossi, you bitch. Open this gate. Give me my grandson. Where are you hiding my Michael's flesh and blood?" Brenda, looking like a drowned rat, still had a voice that boomed. She pounded on the closed gate with her fists, shrieking. Michael, next to her, joined in. "Isabella, father-in-law. It's me, Michael. There's been a misunderstanding. Please, just open the gate. It's a sin against God to keep a father from his child." Inside the penthouse living room, Isabella watched their pathetic display on the security monitor with a blank expression. On the screen, they looked less like humans and more like demons consumed by greed. Isabella bit her lip and picked up the intercom. "Security? There are some vagrants at the front gate, causing a disturbance. Have them removed immediately." Just as she was about to hang up, she saw Brenda on the screen pick up a large rock from the landscaping. She raised it, about to smash one of the decorative stone lanterns. "If you don't open this gate, I'll smash my head open right here and die. Then the news will say the daughter-in-law of Sterling Corporation murdered her mother-in-law." Isabella let out a deep sigh. She knew they would keep this up all night until the police arrived. She struggled to get up from the sofa. Her pregnant belly felt unusually heavy and tight today. Her father was in his study and seemed unaware of the commotion. "Ma'am, I'll go. You should rest." The housekeeper tried to stop her, but Isabella shook her head. "No. I'll end this. Please, just stay here quietly so Dad doesn't find out." Isabella grabbed an umbrella and went to the front door. The cold night air and the sound of the rain hit her as she stepped outside. As she walked toward the front gate, Brenda spotted her through the bars and shrieked. "She's here. Michael, your wife is here. Isabella. Honey." Isabella nodded to the security guard to open the small side gate. The moment it opened, Brenda tried to barge in. Isabella blocked them with a cold stare. "What do you think you're doing here? Get lost, now." "What? Get lost? How dare you speak to your mother-in-law like that?" Brenda looked ready to lunge at Isabella. Michael stepped forward, pretending to hold his mother back. His eyes were a sickening mix of subservience and greed. "Honey, calm down. Mom is just desperate to see her grandson. Let's talk this out. I know I was wrong, but I'm still the baby's father. Don't be mistaken. The baby's father is dead. You held the funeral yourself, remember?" Isabella's cutting response made Michael's face contort. He grabbed her arm. Hey, Isabella Rossi, do you think I'm a joke just because I'm being nice? So what if you're a tycoon's daughter? You stole my flesh and blood. You're going to have to pay the price. Let go of me. Let go of your filthy hands. Isabella yanked her arm away. The force of it sent Michael stumbling backward. Seeing this, Brenda's eyes went wild with rage. You bitch. How dare you push my precious son? Brenda charged forward, slipping on the wet ground, and grabbed a handful of Isabella's hair. The umbrella clattered to the ground, and Isabella's head was violently jerked back. Mom, no. Michael shouted, but Brenda was beyond reason. She held onto Isabella's hair and shook her head wildly. I've got you now. It's you or me today. Give me back my grandson. You ruined my son's life. Did you think you could get away with living happily ever after? Let go of me. Let me go. Isabella tried to protect her stomach, bracing herself with both hands. But the marble steps of the garden were incredibly slippery from the pouring rain. The moment Brenda gave a final, powerful shove, Isabella's foot slipped on the edge of the top step. No. Isabella's scream was swallowed by the storm. Her body lost its balance and tumbled down the flight of 5 steps. With a series of sickening thuds, she landed in a heap at the bottom. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a pained groan escaped Isabella's lips. Ugh, my stomach. My baby. Isabella instinctively clutched her lower abdomen. An excruciating pain shot through her, feeling as if her back was breaking. Then she felt a warm, heavy gush of liquid between her legs. Washed away by the rainwater, it was a vivid, crimson red. It was blood. Blood. There's blood. Michael backed away in terror. Brenda, finally snapping back to reality, covered her mouth, her body trembling. Oh, what did I do? I didn't do it. She fell on her own. Mom, let's go. We'll be dead if the cops come. Michael grabbed his mother's hand. The two of them abandoned the fallen Isabella and tried to escape through the open gate. But just then, a team of burly security guards stormed out from the penthouse. Freeze. The guards instantly tackled Michael and Brenda. Michael's face was shoved into the muddy ground, while Brenda sat on the floor, kicking and screaming. Let me go. I'm an old woman. My daughter-in-law is beating her mother-in-law. Somebody help. Brenda's shrieks were lost in the night. Just then, the main door flew open, and Vincent Rossi ran out. He saw Isabella lying at the bottom of the steps and his face went pale. Isabella! Isabella! Mr. Rossi ran through the rain and knelt beside her. Isabella's face was already as white as a sheet, her lips blue and trembling. The rainwater pooling on the ground was turning red with her blood. Dad, the baby, Leo. Even as her consciousness faded, Isabella held onto her stomach. Mr. Rossi supported her head with trembling hands. His shirt was quickly soaked with her blood and the rain. Driver, get the car ready. Call 911. Now. Mr. Rossi's desperate cry echoed through the estate. Isabella's eyelids felt heavy as lead. As her vision went black, a new terror gripped her. She could no longer feel the baby moving inside her. No, Leo, please. In the distance, the wail of an ambulance siren grew louder. She could faintly hear the screams of Michael and Brenda as they were dragged away like animals by the security guards, but to Isabella's ears, there was only the roaring of the rain. Her head lolled lifelessly to the side. Isabella. Stay with me. Isabella. With her father's anguished cries fading behind her, Isabella's consciousness sank into a deep, dark abyss. Move, move. Emergency patient coming through. The moment the blaring siren stopped, the automatic doors of the university hospital's emergency room slid open, and a gurney was rushed inside. Several medical staff ran alongside it, pushing it down the corridor at full speed. On the gurney lay Isabella, an oxygen mask on her pale face. The white hospital gown was already soaked in blood, which dripped onto the floor. Behind them, Vincent Rossi, his own shirt blood-stained, staggered as he followed. Isabella, just hold on a little longer. Dad is here. Sir, you can only go this far. Please wait outside. A nurse stopped Mr. Rossi in front of the operating room. The doors swung shut, and the in-surgery light flickered on. Mr. Rossi pounded on the closed doors, sobbing. Doctor, please save my daughter. Please. The operating room was a war zone. The fetal heart monitor attached to Isabella's belly beeped erratically and rapidly. It sounded like a countdown to an extinguishing life. A senior obstetrician looked at the monitor and shouted urgently. Placental abruption. Fetal heart rate has dropped to 60. The mother's hemorrhaging is severe. Blood pressure 80/50, oxygen saturation is dropping. An anesthesiologist placed a mask over Isabella's face. "Ma'am, can you hear me? We're starting the surgery immediately. You need to stay with us to save the baby. Take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Even as her consciousness faded, Isabella instinctively tried to move her hand to her belly. But as the anesthetic flowed through her veins, she couldn't move a finger. The world went black. Her lips moved, forming a silent word. "My baby. Please. Leo. Don't worry. We will do everything we can," the surgeon said, holding a scalpel over Isabella's abdomen. The surgery began. At the same time, in an interrogation room at a downtown police precinct, two figures sat shivering in their wet clothes under a harsh fluorescent light. It was Michael Peterson and Brenda. Cold, silver handcuffs were clasped around their wrists. The detective slammed his hand on the table. "Are you people kidding me? You push a pregnant woman down a flight of stairs and now you're both blaming each other?" "Detective, I swear, I'm innocent. I was just trying to stop her. That woman. My mother." She suddenly grabbed her hair and Michael said, raising his cuffed hands to point at Brenda. Brenda's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? You crazy bastard. Didn't I see you grab Isabella's arm, making her lose her balance? How dare you try to pin this on your own mother? You were the one who pushed her, Mom. You were the one who picked up a rock, screaming you were going to kill your daughter-in-law. Why are you blaming me? After all I did for you, this is how you repay me? You ungrateful brat. Why do you think I was out there in that storm? To get your son back for you. Who asked you to go?" It was so embarrassing. Brenda tried to grab Michael's hair with her cuffed hands. Michael shoved her shoulder in return. The interrogation room descended into chaos. The detective shook his head, disgusted. "What a wonderful mother-son duo. That's enough. Both of you. You're looking at charges of aggravated assault and attempted murder. If anything happens to the victim, you'll both rot in prison for the rest of your lives." At the words, attempted murder, Michael and Brenda froze. Their faces turned ashen. Michael grabbed the detective's pant leg and begged. "Detective, murder? You don't mean Isabella. She didn't. She's in emergency surgery right now, and it's critical. You better start praying. Pray that the mother and child both make it out alive." Brenda collapsed to the floor, wailing. "Oh, my life is over. I killed the daughter of a billionaire. Oh, God." Back at the hospital, the tension in the operating room was at its peak. The floor was covered with blood-soaked gauze. "The bleeding won't stop. Get more blood packs, now." Sweat poured down the lead surgeon's forehead. A nurse wiped his brow while handing him instruments. Isabella's abdomen was open, revealing her uterus, already filled with blood from the detached placenta. "We're taking the baby out. We're out of time." With skilled hands, the surgeon lifted the baby out. A tiny life, covered in amniotic fluid and blood, was brought into the world. But the sound of a baby's cry, which should have filled the room, was absent. The limp infant was a shade of purple and completely still. "The baby's not breathing. Pediatric team, now." The waiting pediatric team took the baby and rushed to a resuscitation station. They inserted a tube into the baby's mouth and nose to clear the airways and rubbed its tiny back. The doctor flicked the bottom of the baby's foot, trying to stimulate it. "Come on, little one. Breathe. Breathe." But the baby didn't respond. Meanwhile, Isabella's condition was deteriorating rapidly. A sharp alarm blared from the monitor. "Blood pressure has dropped to 60. She could go into cardiac arrest. Get the epinephrine ready." "No. We have to save the mother too. Control the bleeding, now." Outside in the hallway, Mr. Rossi heard the frantic shouts from behind the door and slid down the wall, collapsing to the floor. He stared at his own blood-stained hands and, for the first time in his life, he prayed. "God, please, save my daughter. If I have sinned, take me instead. Please, just let Isabella and the baby live. Please, Mr. Rossi's tear-filled prayers echoed in the empty corridor. Time seemed to stand still. 1 minute, 2 minutes. The medical team continued CPR on the infant. Isabella's heartbeat was growing fainter. It was a moment of utter despair, when everyone was about to give up. "Wah!" A faint but clear cry tore through the silence of the operating room. Like a flickering candle reigniting, the baby's tiny chest began to rise and fall. "He's alive. The baby's breathing." The pediatrician exclaimed with joy. Once he took that first breath, the baby began to cry with all his might. The sound was like a declaration. "I'm here, Mom." Simultaneously, the alarms on Isabella's monitor quieted down. "Mother's blood pressure is returning. 90/60. Vitals are stabilizing. The lead surgeon let out a sigh of relief and sank onto a stool. We saved them. We saved them both. Outside, Mr. Rossi, who had dozed off with his head bowed, shot up. He thought he had imagined it. Just then, the operating room door opened, and a nurse in a surgical mask came out. Mr. Rossi rushed over and grabbed her by the shoulders. "Nurse, my daughter? The baby?" The nurse wiped the sweat from her eyes and smiled. "Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. It's a miracle. The mother has passed the crisis, and your grandson is crying healthily. You've been through a terrible ordeal." Mr. Rossi's knees buckled, and he fell to the floor. He didn't have the strength to stand. He pounded the floor and wept openly. Thank you, Isabella. Thank you for staying alive." The cries of a father, not a corporate tycoon, filled the hospital corridor. 5 hours after the surgery, Isabella's heavy eyelids fluttered open in the quiet recovery room. The bright fluorescent light on the ceiling made her wince. "Isabella? You're awake." "It's me." Mr. Rossi, who had been dozing in a chair next to her bed, jumped up and took her hand. His eyes were swollen, and his voice was thick with emotion. Isabella swallowed, her voice raspy. "Dad? The baby? Our baby? He's alive. He's alive and healthy. You did it, my brave girl. You did it." Mr. Rossi wiped the sweat from Isabella's forehead with a handkerchief. Tears streamed down Isabella's face, soaking her pillow. "I want to see him. I want to see him now." "Of course. Let's go. I knew you'd say that, so I have a wheelchair ready." With her father's help, Isabella moved from the bed to the wheelchair, gripping the IV stand. The pain from the incision was searing, but her determination to see her child was stronger. They stopped in front of the neonatal intensive care unit, in front of a small incubator at the very back. There, a tiny life form, connected to a web of tubes, was breathing shallowly. A head the size of a man's fist, limbs as thin as twigs. Isabella covered her mouth and sobbed. "Baby. Mommy's here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you." As if he heard his mother's voice, the baby's tiny fingers twitched. He opened his eyes a sliver and turned his head toward Isabella, outside the glass. In that brief moment of eye contact, something warm and powerful surged through Isabella's heart. "Mr. Chairman, Miss Rossi, you're here." Mr. Thompson approached them quietly from behind. He was holding a thick file. Isabella wiped her tears and turned to him. The gentle, loving look she had for her son was gone, replaced by an icy coldness. "What's the status?" "Michael Peterson's bail was denied. He's been charged with aggravated assault and fraud. He caused a scene in the holding cell, demanding to be let out, and has since been moved to solitary confinement." Mr. Thompson continued his report. "And as for Brenda Peterson, what about that old woman? She collapsed from shock in her cell. She was foaming at the mouth and having seizures. She's been transferred to the police hospital. The doctor suspects the early stages of a stroke." Isabella scoffed. "She's putting on a show. It's a trick to get out of this, because she's cornered. Don't fall for it." "Of course, ma'am. We have guards posted at the hospital. And this is a settlement offer from Michael Peterson's lawyer. He says if you show leniency, he will not contest the parental rights waiver or ask for any alimony." Isabella didn't even look at the papers Mr. Thompson held out. She slapped them out of his hand, and they scattered on the floor. "Settlement? That's laughable. Mr. Thompson, tell our legal team. There will be no settlement. And prepare a victim impact statement. I will write it myself. I want those people to receive the maximum sentence allowed by law. I want them to grow old and die in prison." "Yes, Miss Rossi. It will be done as you wish." Mr. Thompson bowed his head. Isabella turned back to the glass. In the incubator, her baby was wiggling, fighting for his life. She placed her palm on the glass and whispered. "Leo. I'll name him Leo. You are your mother's only hope." "That's a wonderful name. Leo Rossi." Mr. Rossi smiled warmly. Isabella gave another order to Mr. Thompson. "File the birth certificate immediately. The name is Leo Rossi. And leave the father's name blank. This child never had a father." "Yes, ma'am. I understand. The seasons changed." Under Isabella's devoted care, Leo grew stronger every day. He was moved out of the incubator, taken off the oxygen, and finally transferred to a regular room. His tiny limbs filled out, and he would break into a smile whenever he saw Isabella. The day they were discharged, the hospital lobby was in chaos. Reporters had swarmed the entrance, eager to get the story of the Sterling Corporation heiress and her dramatic childbirth. Miss Rossi, a comment on the case. How is the lawsuit against your ex-husband progressing? Are you filing to have his parental rights officially terminated? Camera flashes went off like lightning. The old Isabella would have hidden or run away, but not this Isabella. She held Leo, wrapped snugly in a blanket, and stood firmly before the press. She held her head high and looked directly into the camera lenses. Her eyes shone with the confidence of a mother and the heir to a corporate empire. I will fight to the end to protect myself and my child. Those who have committed crimes will pay the price. You can watch me. Isabella's short, powerful statement silenced the reporters for a moment. As bodyguards cleared a path, she walked toward the waiting limousine. Mr. Rossi held the door open for his daughter and grandson. Before getting in, Isabella turned and looked back at the hospital one last time. A faint smile touched her lips, the smile of someone leaving a hellish past behind to start her real life. 1 year passed. The grand ballroom of a luxury hotel in Manhattan was overflowing with floral arrangements. It was the 50th anniversary celebration of the Sterling Corporation. A massive chandelier cast a rainbow of light, and the elites of business and politics mingled with champagne glasses in hand. And now, please give a warm welcome to the woman who will lead the Sterling Corporation into its next chapter, our new vice chairwoman, Miss Isabella Rossi. The MC's voice boomed through the hall. With a grand orchestral fanfare, the large doors at the back of the stage opened. All eyes turned in one direction. Bathed in a brilliant spotlight, Isabella Rossi walked out. She was dressed in a pristine white power suit, and in her arms was her son, Leo, who had just celebrated his first birthday. A thunderous applause filled the room. On the giant screens, a close-up showed Isabella and Leo's happy smiles. Isabella stood at the podium and took the microphone. Her gaze was stronger and more composed than ever before. Good evening. I am Isabella Rossi. First, I would like to thank everyone for being here tonight. Her voice was steady and confident. In her arms, Leo looked around at the crowd, his eyes wide with curiosity. His adorable expression drew chuckles and murmurs of admiration from the audience. Oh, look at that child. He's like an angel. I'm so glad he looks healthy, after everything he went through. Isabella continued her speech. The past year has been a long and harsh winter for me. But because of that cold, I was able to grow stronger. Because my son, Leo, brought the spring to me. Isabella gently squeezed Leo's small hand. I will lead the Sterling Corporation to be a company that not only pursues profit but also values people. I will take the lead in creating a society where a person's sincerity and ability are respected, not their background or appearance. Hearing his daughter's heartfelt speech, Vincent Rossi's eyes welled up with tears as he applauded enthusiastically. His face was a picture of immense pride. At the same time, in a prison on the outskirts of the city, in a small, damp cell where sunlight barely penetrated, a man was squatting in a corner. The air was thick with the smell of mold and sweat. It was inmate number 3840, Michael Peterson. He was a shadow of his former self. His hair was matted and unkempt, and his face had a sickly, sallow pallor from malnutrition. Hey, 3840, what are you doing? Go get the water. A large, tattooed inmate kicked Michael in the side. Michael flinched and cowered. Yes, sir. Right away. He scrambled to his feet, picking up a plastic jug. Just then, a familiar voice came from the small TV mounted on the wall. Because my son, Leo, brought the spring to me. Michael froze. He turned his head mechanically toward the screen. There, shining like a jewel, was Isabella, and laughing like an angel, was Leo. Isabella. The water jug slipped from Michael's hand and fell to the floor, but he didn't notice. He stumbled toward the TV. The woman on the screen was not the woman he knew. The woman he had despised as a pathetic orphan was now at the pinnacle of society, bathed in spotlights. And the child in her arms, the child he had disowned as not his flesh and blood, was healthy and beautiful. Leo. My son. Michael reached out a trembling hand and touched the cold screen. All he felt was hard glass, not warm skin. Fat tears rolled down his cheeks. I'm his father. That should have been my place. Michael sobbed, reaching for the image on the screen. Isabella, I'm here. Get me out of here. I was wrong. Michael's cries echoed in the small cell. The large inmate who had kicked him approached, scowling. Shut up. Are you crazy? Why are you suddenly bawling like a baby? Sir, that woman on the screen. That's my wife. And that's my son. I'm serious. Michael pleaded, grabbing the inmate's pant leg. But all he received was a scornful laugh and a vicious kick. Get off me, you psycho. If the vice chairwoman of Sterling is your wife, then I'm the president of the United States. Stop talking nonsense. It's true. Please believe me. Michael was thrown into a corner. The other inmates laughed and mocked him. There he goes again, with his delusions. Hey, wake up. You're going to rot and die in here. Michael curled up on the cold cement floor and wept. Isabella on the screen was so radiant, while he was crawling in the gutter. He was feeling, with agonizing clarity, the magnitude of the fortune he had thrown away. But it was far too late to turn back. In a nursing home in a rundown part of Queens, Brenda lay in a bed in a 6-person ward. The stroke had left her partially paralyzed, unable to move on her own. Bedsores were forming on her back, but no family ever came to visit. Brenda stared blankly at the TV hanging from the ceiling. A society where a person's sincerity and ability are respected. Isabella's speech was being broadcast live on the news. Brenda's vacant eyes slowly widened. She trembled. A garbled sound escaping her twisted lips. It was a cry that couldn't form words. That woman. The precious daughter-in-law she should have revered, she had kicked out and tormented. The reality of it was unbearable. Brenda clawed at the bedsheets with her one good hand. A crushing wave of regret and fury made it hard to breathe. Grandma, what is it now? Keep it down. An irritated caregiver came over and yanked the privacy curtain shut. The TV screen disappeared from Brenda's view. Trapped in the darkness, Brenda let out a guttural, animalistic sob. Back at the hotel ballroom, Isabella finished her speech and descended from the stage. Vincent Rossi was there to greet his daughter and grandson with open arms. You did so well. That was magnificent. Thank you, Father. I couldn't have done it without you. Isabella hugged her father. Mr. Rossi stroked Leo's cheek and chuckled. And you were a good boy too, Leo. So well behaved. Dada, Dada. Leo cooed, grabbing his grandfather's tie. Isabella kissed Leo's chubby cheek. Leo, from now on, we're going to be happy. Mommy promises. Leo let out a clear, happy laugh, as if he understood. The sound carried through the microphones and spread through the ballroom, making the guests smile. The warm afternoon sun streamed through the windows, bathing Isabella and Leo in a golden light, as if blessing their future. Isabella held her son tight and walked toward the exit. The massive doors swung open, and she stepped out into a world filled with brilliant light. No longer bound by the wounds of the past, the new, confident life of Isabella Rossi was just beginning.